continually getting sick. But I think it's more mental than anything else. I think that the people have given it more credit to this than it deserves. Instead of giving so much credit to this virus, if we give credit to God Almighty, then things will change around. Then we can look at things and don't look at the size of it. Know that if you hit it, it's going to fall. Instead of looking at the big old virus, look at the big old God that we have. And this virus is going to die. Number 3 and last one. God Almighty. Verse 37. We looked at the giant. We looked at the testimony of David. And now we're going to look at God Almighty. 37. Moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion, from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of the Philistine. And Saul said to David, go and the Lord be with you. Almost said Saul saying, well, better you than me. Go right ahead. But see, again, let's take the focus of the giant. I know it's big. I know it's big, and then the politicians and the media are making it bigger than what it is. And this is not just here, it's global. I understand that. I'm aware of that. As you already know, I'm a news junkie. I want to be informed of what's going on. But see, the thing about it is that people just continue to add on to it and add on to it. And then, funny that the first thing, once the newscast is going to begin, what is it they do? They put this mysterious music and they show you their replica of the cell of the coronavirus. And then after that, they show you, in the county of LA, so many people died. In the county of LA, so many people are infected. Instead of turning that around and looking at all the people that have not been infected, well, that's not going to sell news. And that's not going to keep us in fear. See, I believe this is what they're doing. They're sowing fear into our hearts. They continually to pour fear in our hearts. And I mentioned to you that, there's so many doctors out there that saying that this is not a big deal. And they go on social media and post a video, and before you know it, they have to take it down because the politicians are against them. These are people that are professionals. Okay, if I was to do that, well, they have all the right to do so and to take it down and say, I have no idea, I don't know what I'm talking about. But there is other people that are professionals. There is physicians. There is doctors out there. There is scientists out there. They're saying it's been blowing out of proportion. It's been taken too far. It continues to go too far. But instead of looking at the big old giant, let's look at Almighty God. Let's look at God Almighty. After all, may I remind you that He created the heavens and the earth. May I remind you that He spoke this beautiful universe into existence. May I remind you of all of the other times that He has come before you, that He has been with you, that He has helped you. All the other times when you were just at the end of the rope, and before you know it, there is the answer that you wanted. See, this is the God that we serve. This is the God that He's never early, He's never late. He's always on time. I know that we want it now. Actually, we wanted it yesterday. And that was yesterday, and today we haven't got it yet. And we begin to look up to the heavens and says, what happened, God? Did you forget about me? No. He did not forget about you. He did not forget about us. It's just that it's not the time yet. Personally, I have been praying time and time again for this to come to an end, but as of yet, hasn't come to an end yet. Now, does that mean that God has not heard my prayers? No, that means that whatever God is doing, He's not done yet. Whatever lesson He wants to teach us, we haven't learned the lesson yet. We're talking about a God that is in control. If you remember my message from Sunday morning, Psalm 46:10, when He tells us, be still and know that I am God. My name is going to be exalted. My name is going to be exalted in all the earth. This is the God that we serve. This is the God, the creator of the heavens and the earth. The God that allowed things to take place. On the book of Exodus 33:14 says, and He said, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. This is God talking to Moses. This is God talking to His messenger. And God is telling him, doesn't use the name here, Moses, but God is said, and He said, God talking, my presence will go with you, and I will give you rest. With everything that is going on, with all the turmoil that is going on around the world, we grow weary. We get tired. And we throw our hands up in the air and question God and says, why? How long? How much longer? Well, He's not going to answer us. His will be done on earth as it is in heaven. His will be done whether you like it or not. He will always be with us. He will never leave us. He will never forsake us. Remember also Joshua, the first chapter of Joshua. God reassuring Joshua again, I will go before you. I will fight for you. I will be with you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. Time and time again. And we know that for as long as Joshua trusted in the Lord blessed Joshua time and time again. The Lord was with Joshua time and time again. So God Almighty will most certainly deliver us from this disease. We don't have a lion, we don't have a bear, but we have COVID-19. We don't have a Philistine, but we have COVID-19. And He's going to deliver us from it. And also, if He doesn't deliver us from it, well, we know that it's our time. We know that we have an appointment. And see, this is one of the other things that if we have an appointment, He knows when our appointment's coming up, and He's not going to delay. Remember, he's never early, he's never late. He's always on time. God Almighty. Moreover, David said, the Lord who delivered me from the paw of the lion and from the paw of the bear, he will deliver me from the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, go and the Lord be with you. David already knew that God was going to be with him. David already knew that God has been with them all of this time. David knows that he has mighty divine protection. David knows that God is going to deliver the Philistine into his hand. David knows that the Philistine is going to die that day. Now, is David arrogant? Absolutely not. David knows who his God is. David knows that God is going to help him. Again, looking back from the blessings that he had, he knows that it wasn't just one time that God was going to bless him. He knew that it wasn't just going to be, or just those 2 times. No. David knows that God is going to go before him. David knows that God, the presence of the Lord, is going to be with them. Now, I can't imagine when David picked up the rock, put it in his sling, and begins to swing the sling. Now, the Bible tells us that he hit him on the forehead. I know that there are skilled sling swingers that can hit a target 100 yards, 200 yards away. But David, it's not a trained professional. David is a shepherd boy. David knows that God is going to go before him. David knows that God is going to deliver him from this Philistine. David knows that God Almighty is going to go before him. Just as God Almighty went before Joshua and fought those fights, fought those battles in the promised land. That's what David has the confidence. That's what David knows that God is going to bless him that day. And Goliath is going to die at his hand. Now, we know that right after the rock hit him in between the eyes, Goliath fell down. David picked up his Goliath sword and chopped off his head. Cut off his head. Separated his head from his body. Why? Because David knew that God was going to go before him. Because David knew that God had delivered the Philistine into his hands. God can deliver us. God can protect us. God will protect us from this disease. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to throw caution up on the wind and says, well, que sera, sera. We're just going to play a fool and not believe that it's there. I know it's there. But I know if we take the precautions that we need to take, we're going to be okay. And down the line, we're going to testify how God deliver us, how God protect us. Just like David's testifying to Saul, the bear, the lion, killed them both. Down the line, we're going to be testifying, oh yeah, were we scared? Of course we were. Everybody was. But you know what? The presence of the Lord was with us. The presence of the Lord protected us. And now we're here testifying that the God of Israel, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the same God that protected David the same God is protecting us, protecting me, protecting our families, protecting our congregations, protecting our people. After all, our God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He is the God that changes not. And based on that, I can rest assured that He's going to protect us. I can rest assured that He's going to be with us, that His presence will be with us. And we will look dead on the eye at this virus, and we're going to say, you're big, you're dangerous, but our God, it's bigger and full of grace. I pray that you will meditate on this tonight and tomorrow and the day after. That we serve a mighty God. That we serve a almighty God. God Almighty. And He has His best interest at hand. And He wants to bless us. And He will bless us. So let's quit hiding. Let's stop being scared and face the giant face to face and say what David said. We come against you in the name of God Almighty, and He's going to go before us, and He's going to protect us even until the end of time. Brothers and sisters, God bless you. Be of good cheer. God Almighty goes before us. Be of good cheer. The presence of God Almighty will always be with us.